welcome. Super excited to be here with my team. You're going to hear from all of us today. You got me here, Travis. I've been with Kohl's for 10 years. I'm our senior manager of early talent acquisition. So working with students much like yourself across the US to fill internship and full-time roles for our corporate office, as well as our stores and our distribution centers. And then what I'll do is when Rachel, Kimmy, Gray, and Becca start their portions, I'll have them introduce themselves as well. And then at the end, like you were told, feel free to drop questions in the chat. We're more than happy to answer those along the way, or we'll connect with you all at the end to answer all those questions. So with that, if we want to move on to the next slide. Real quickly, there's a lot that we want to cover today, and it's all things that we know that you definitely want to know about Kohl's. Everything from our culture to what we're doing from a diversity, equity, inclusion, and sustainability standpoint to any newness. And then at the end, we want to wrap up with any opportunities that we have available for you all from an internship standpoint. So excited to walk you through all of that today. So the first thing we're going to start off with, if you want to go to the next slide, is really talking about our history and who we are as an organization, really dating back to 1962 and then going through our entire timeline that gets us to today. What I would say, in 1962, we actually started with our first store that opened in Brookfield, Wisconsin. So if you're familiar with Wisconsin, you know where that is. If not, it's just a little bit west of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, really close by in that southeastern Wisconsin area. When that first store did open up, prior to being a department store, we were actually operated as a grocery store only within that Milwaukee area. From there, we definitely grew and we continued to evolve with our customer. And so as our customers' needs continue to evolve, we continue to evolve our product assortment, where we eventually at one point completely get out of grocery and move entirely into becoming a department store that you know today. But again, those product assortments continue to change, and we'll talk about some of those updates later on in the presentation. We did go public in 1992, and at that time we only had 76 stores and we were only in the Midwest. From there, we grew tremendously over the next several years, where we eventually launched our Kohls.com and getting that online presence. We started to open up across the US, coast to coast, including opening our first stores in California in 2003. And then eventually where we are today is we operate over 1,100 stores in 49 states. And then we also have our digital presence as well. One of the things that a lot of our customers and candidates are very familiar with is Kohl's Cash, which is state-of-the-art loyalty program, which launched in 2004. And we continue to evolve our loyalty program in 2014 with our Yes to You rewards program. From there, we now dive into a couple of really key strategic partnerships that we have that many of you may be familiar with as well. So I'm sure most of you shop at Amazon. One of the things that we are known for is having our Amazon returns actually across all of our Kohl's stores across the US. So anything that you buy from Amazon, if you need to return it, you do have the option on Amazon to return it at a local Kohl's store. And typically when you return it, you do get a tracking number, but you also get some sort of incentive to shop in store either that day or for the next several days. In 2020, we had a little thing called COVID hit, and that pandemic really forced us to pivot our strategy and how we reach our customers. And one of the things that we launched super quickly to meet our customers' needs was Drive Up. And all you had to do is drive up, pop your trunk, and a Kohl's associate would put your order in your trunk. That has been huge for us and continues to be a really huge strategy for us as well. And then in 2021 is when we launched Sephora at Kohl's, and we launched our first several stores that year, and we continue to launch more and more year over year to the point where we'll be in nearly every store. And then lastly, we do have and will launch this year our first ever downtown Milwaukee store. So we're really excited about that in the metro area, heart of downtown, really where Kohl's got its start. So really excited about that new and really cool footprint. If you go to the next slide, we just want to talk a little bit about our purpose and our culture. So one of the things that we really pride ourselves on is our purpose statement, which is to inspire and empower families to lead fulfilled lives. Our purpose is really what drives success. And ultimately, we really want to have an impact on our customers and their families, as well as our associates. We serve our families in a way that hopefully adds to their livelihood and fulfilling their lives each and every day. And then when we think about our vision, we really envision being the most trusted retailer of choice, but specifically within the active and casual lifestyle. In October of 2020, like I said, with the pandemic hitting, we really had to pivot our strategy a bit more. We shared a new strategic framework, which encompassed many of the initiatives to position us for that growth and long-term success. And like I said, as a part of that strategy, we set this new vision and we set out to be that trusted retailer in active and casual lifestyle. And then the last thing that I want to share before I give it over to Kimmy on my team is to just talk a little bit about what our footprint looks like. So you can see here, all the small black dots, those are all where we have stores across the US. And what you can see here, just some fun facts about that. Right now, we're at about 1,165 stores. We are in 49 states. The only state we are not in is Hawaii currently. But some other fun facts, 99% of our stores were positive cash flow in 2021. And 40% of our digital orders get fulfilled by stores. So that's buy online, pick up in store, that's ship to store, that's the drive up, all the different ways in which you can purchase, but then go to that store. We essentially use all of our stores as mini distribution centers for our customers. 80% of Americans actually live within 15 miles of a Kohl store, which is a cool fact. The other thing that you can see here on this map is other offices. So our corporate office, and you'll hear a little bit more about opportunities, like I said, about corporate stores and distribution centers. The green wayfinders indicate where our corporate offices are, where our call center or credit centers are, as well as distribution centers. So Menominee Falls, Wisconsin, again, very similar to Brookfield. It's just west of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, really close to that downtown area. That is where our corporate headquarters is, as long as one of our IT offices and our photo studio. We also have a corporate office located in New York. That's our New York design office. It's right off of Times Square. We also have another tech office, which is out in the Bay Area, really close to Oakland. And then we do have two call centers. One is in San Antonio, Texas. We also have one that is located in Menominee Falls as well. And then the remainder of the wayfinders outlines where our distribution or e-commerce fulfillment centers are across the US. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Kimmy, and she'll be able to talk to you a little bit more about our diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives at Kohl's.
Yeah, thank you, Trav. So just to quickly introduce myself, my name is Kimmy Brill. I've been with Kohl's for 5 years and actually got my start with Kohl's through our early talent programs we're here talking to you all about today. I will say way up, I absolutely love it. I've been able to build a lot of great connection points with students, so it's great to have all of you on today. So to kind of just touch on a little bit around diversity, equity, and inclusion, very similar to our purpose statement that Travis went over with you, we have a mission statement for diversity, equity, and inclusion. So our mission statement is to empower more families through equity, diversity, and inclusion. So sounds a little broad, but when we start to dissect this a little bit, there are 3 different pillars that we really focus on, and that's beyond just the D&I piece. It's just how we operate our business as well. So those 3 pillars are our people, our customers, and our community. So this mission statement related to D&I really hones in on those 3 different areas. And then I'll go over a little more details as what those are. So on our next slide here, we do have a quick video around belongingness here at Kohl's.
I think what keeps me at Kohl's is the ever-evolving idea that, we don't have to always be what we used to be. We can continue to evolve and mold and grow. And I think that stands for all of us as individuals and then all of us as a company as a whole.
So I feel like one of the biggest factors for me in being an associate at Kohl's was being a part of the business resource groups, BRGs. They really gave me that opportunity and opened the door for me. And with the BRGs, but actually the first time I actually came over to corporate and visited corporate was through an event. event hosted by the Hispanic y Latino VRG.
I think it's just creating those opportunities and investing in people for them to stay and grow that has kept me here at Kohl's.
I was made aware of the McKinsey Black Leadership Program through our BRG, and I felt as though where I was in my career, it was another stepping stone that I needed to take to try to catapult me to higher levels within the organization. So
I think the work that I do within the YPBRG is definitely fulfilling. And I think seeing the survey results come back with people's feedback on how their pairings were and what sort of relationship they were able to build outside of their normal network is really exciting to see. It's building a community that you never thought you could have at the company. And the more people that join, again, through stores, through logistics, through credit, through corporate, just keeps building on that community.
So this next slide here on your screen is highlighting our business resource groups, which Christina in the video alluded to. So we have 8 BRGs for short. You can see them all listed here on your screen. And then circling back to those 3 pillars I shared, each of them is going to really focus on our people, our customers, and our communities. So what's great about our 8 business resource groups is they are all employee-led. It's a great way to network with people within all areas of the business. So this is extended to not only our corporate associates, our stores, our e-fulfillment centers, distribution centers, and then all of our other offices as well. So we have over 7,500 members, and it is growing within our BRGs. When you think about the different pillars I mentioned, so from the people perspective, this supports organizational cultural celebrations and offers opportunities for diverse talent to continue growing within their careers and their leadership. From a customer perspective, this supports the business strategy by acting as consultants, really focusing on different groups within our communities. And then community perspective is they work directly with nonprofits with ways to connect our communities with our leaders within each of our groups. So BRGs serve such a large purpose that I think everyone on our team can attest to. There's just so much networking and growth that you can see within them, which is a great, I would say, perk of being involved with Kohl's. Our next slide is going to just kind of highlight a couple of the different callouts for environmental sustainability here at Kohl's. The next slide looks at some of the efforts that we are doing here at Kohl's in terms of sustainability. So first one you see on your screen is renewable energy. So in 2021, we estimated about just shy of 59,000 megawatt hours of solar energy use. So you're thinking, okay, Kimmy, what does that mean? So when we break this down, that is about 7% of electricity we use to power from our business came from renewable sources. So many of our stores get up to 50% of their energy from solar. And we currently have 162 solar arrays around the country, and that totals to more than 200,000 solar panels. So also in our corporate headquarters, we have large solar trees there that we're using this renewable energy for. And then the other little boxes here on the right-hand side of this screen is showing like our electric vehicles and different charging ports that we have over 100 different locations. So again, what does this mean? So this provides, these stations provide 105,000 charging sessions per year to our customers and our associates, since we have them at our corporate offices and then also at various locations. With this is really allowing over 809,000 miles of driving to be saving over 36,000 or 3,600,000 gallons of gas annually. So thinking about just renewable energy and helping sustain the environment, this is a great way that we're able to do that here at Kohl's. So anytime you see those charging ports, use it if you've got an electric vehicle. And now I'm going to pass it on over to Gray to go over Sephora.
Thanks, Kimmy. Hi, everyone. My name is Gray, and I am also an early talent recruiter here at Kohl's. So I recruit on the corporate side of the business for our merchandising, inventory, and HR internships. Similarly to Kimmy, I got my start at Kohl's as an intern. So I came through this program and spent some time on the product product development side of the business, and then moved over to join the HR team about a year and a half ago. So I'm going to jump into telling y'all about some of our product initiatives. First and foremost, know that we touched on this a little bit, is our Kohl's and Sephora partnership. So like Travis mentioned, in 2020, this was announced that we would be partnering with Sephora and bringing them into our digital platform, as well as starting in about 250 stores. So you can go to the next slide, Becca. And this has some facts about, exactly what the vision of the partnership was and will be. So you can see there 850 locations open by 2023. So of course that brings us to now that over the past year, they launched, rolling out a lot more stores across the country. And it's been a huge success to have these smaller format Sephora stores within a Kohl's. So I think this picture does a great job of helping visualize, if you think about Kohl's, when you drive up, typically there's those two entrances. In most of the Kohl's that have a Sephora, one of the entrances is entirely branded Sephora. So you can't miss it when you drive up, you know that your Kohl's has that. But if your local Kohl's does not have it yet, definitely know that you can still shop it on our digital platform. All right, and then getting into some continued brand efforts here. So here you can see the breakdown of our different divisions within the merchandising organization and our entire brand portfolio. So this just gives a really good vision. There at the top, you can see active and wellness, front and center. We've already talked about that a little bit, how that is one of our main initiatives here at Kohl's. And you can see all the active brands that we have. Definitely do want to call out Flex is our private brand, that private athleisure leaning brand that was launched in, I believe, 2020 as well. And that has been a huge success, just with the trends towards athleisure and with customers, desiring that in kind of their everyday wear now. We've seen a lot of success with that private brand. Also on the note of sustainability, all of the products within Flex are sustainably sourced. So whether it's BCI cotton, recycled poly, whatever that is, they are, made from sustainably sourced materials. And then on the rest of the slide, you can see, of course, the rest of the brands that we have within our different divisions, mixes of private and national brands. Private brands are something that we're really proud of here at Kohl's, that you can, and I mean, of course, the partnerships with national brands too, but I think that's just what sets us apart from, many other retailers, that you can walk into a Kohl's and pick up, the affordable Sonoma jean right next to a Levi. So you have, everything that you need right there at your fingertips. All right, and then to get into, one of the initiatives that was launched over the past couple of years, kind of leans into, the BRGs that Kimmy mentioned, and even just really trying to broaden our product assortment to truly become a retailer for everybody. Adaptive apparel was launched. So this actually started as an intern project. Some interns it was actually the summer I interned, the summer of 2018, some interns came up with this idea to launch adaptive apparel. And the team loved it so much that they took it and ran with it and actually made it come to life in some of our private branded products. So it was first launched in the kids division and has since expanded over the past couple of years. You can see a quote there, of course, from one of the product managers that was working on this product. But overall, if you speak to anyone that's gotten the chance to work on this, it really just makes us proud of the way that Kohl's is moving and the direction that we are going, as far as, again, being able to support families of all needs across the country.
Awesome. Thanks, Gray. I can quickly introduce myself. My name is Becca Keller. I'm one of the early talent recruiters as well. I specifically recruit for production, sourcing, and digital merchandising, which we will chat about all of our areas a little bit later. Started out in the company after my internship the summer of 2019. So had that lucky year to start in 2020, but it's been amazing. Excited to walk through our internships a little bit more. Speaking of internships, so our program is a little bit different depending on if you're interested in stores versus corporate, but I will say all of these things apply to either internship. So when you are starting out, whether it's corporate, whether it's stores, you're doing real work. So this is a curriculum-based program where you are set to learn about how our stores operate, how our corporate office operates, how your cross-functional partners operate. Whether you are an art intern or a production or sourcing intern, you're going to work cross-functionally with a lot of different people. Learning how to work the system, the processes. So day one, you are almost treated as a full-time employee because we want to set you up for success to hopefully come back with us your senior year, for full-time. So you can also make connections. So I'm kind of a testament to this. My internship, I met a few friends who were in my wedding. So you are definitely set to make lifetime friendships. We have a really large program for our internship, over 300 interns. So you are definitely set up to meet people, make connections. We have networking opportunities built out throughout the summer for you to specifically connect with people as well. And then this is a paid internship. So both the stores, both the corporate, you are paid a competitive rate compared to other retailers. So you're going to be working 40 hours of the work week for an 8 to 10 week summer, fully paid. And not to mention our corporate program, we do provide housing as well as transportation to and from the office. So that's definitely a plus as well. And it allows us to reach students nationwide who really could use the benefit. And then, not to mention, I know I said this a little bit earlier, but this is a conversion-based internship. So if we feel like you're a good fit for the company and you feel like you are a good fit, we like to say 70% of our interns are able to convert to a full-time offer. So you can walk into your senior year with a full-time job ready to go. And then here are some pictures from our corporate internship. So you can see on the screen a lot here. On the top left is our photo studio tour. The bottom right, that is from our volunteer event. So we do a lot of fun things that we can share a little bit more about in Q&A if you have some more questions. And then this image walks through our store internship. So last year we operated as a hybrid environment. So up there you can see a virtual presentation or virtual meeting. So just some fun pictures to show and highlight our store program as well. All right, so I'm going to pass it over to Gray to walk you through merchandising and inventory roles at Kohl's.
Thanks, Becca. So now we are going to get into a part of the presentation where we're each going to kind of talk about the areas that we recruit for, what open roles we have, tell you a little bit more about these positions so that you can really know and understand if this would be a great opportunity for you for this summer. So like I mentioned, I recruit for our merchandising and inventory area. So this is just a quick blurb about, what merchandising and inventory is to the company. So merchandising and inventory focuses on providing the customer engaging and reliable shopping experience. Of course, again, sounds pretty vague, but we really want our customer to be inspired by our assortments. And so we are there to, we being the merchants or the people within the inventory part of the org are there to make sure that when you walk in a store, you see the size and the color that you need, or when you log, and if you don't see it, then you can log online and find that. So this will give an overview of the buying process. And then when I get to the end, I can kind of chat through what this means for our internship positions. But to talk through what buying looks like as a whole, you have many meetings at the beginning that are really focused, on your vision for that upcoming product line. So, we hindsight product, we look at what is on the floor, what's working, what didn't work, and what will that mean for our future assortment. Once our product is starting to be assorted and, we are moving towards actually really getting it ready for that buy is the product alignment. Are we tracking in the right direction? By the time you're in product alignment, you'll have a little bit more reads even on current season sales. So for example, right now we are soon to be entering the spring 2023 season. Well, as we get early reads on spring 2023, we'll be able to make decisions about what will work well for the early season of spring 2024. As we get into the middle of spring 2023, we'll understand what picked up as we got more into that season and what did the customer like, maybe once it got warmer out or once they had, more time to make a decision, whatever the reason might be. So that's when you really align on the product. And then your buy meeting is when you are confirming this is what we are going to buy and it will be on the floor within 6 months potentially. So there are teams that work on our order creations. So creating those purchase orders, and then the allocation teams. This is where our inventory analyst role comes in. So inventory analyst is going to be one of our internships that lives within the logistics part of the organization, however, supports the merchandising functions of the org. So inventory analysts are really there to make sure that the right stores have the right product at the right time of year, kind of what I was chatting about earlier. So they are there to make sure that our allocations are running correctly. There are systems that we use to help allocate goods. And then really being the last person touching that purchase order before it goes out the door. So a highly analytical role, but you do still have some creative problem solving involved. You know, maybe your vendor comes to you and there's been an issue in the factory and something's not going to get delivered on time. Okay, well, do we need to pivot? Do we need to reallocate goods in order to optimize sales? So that's really what the inventory analyst is going to do. And we do have an internship available in that area. And then finally getting into the assistant merchant. So analyzing your product sales. This almost brings us all the way back to the beginning. You know, there should be an arrow kind of going from the end all the way back to the beginning, because as we're analyzing those sales is just as we are starting to hindsight to get back into the next season's buying process. So running selling reports, again, like I was saying, what's selling well right now, what's not, and then how are we going to use that to influence our future assortment? That's one of the many things that the assistant merchant works on. This is another area that we have an internship in the assistant merchant space. And some of the other things that they do is, you know, just really work on that overall product and assortment strategy as the executor. So ensuring, you know, our samples turned into the photo studio on time. Do we have the right sizes? You know, when you log on to Kohls.com and see a product live, we want to make sure there's pictures there for you. So that's another thing that they're going to be in charge of. But really, you know, all things merchandising and assisting in that overall process.
Great. So now I can kind of walk through what production and sourcing is. So what Gray just mentioned, if you think about the inventory analyst or the assistant merchant, they're kind of the start of the process alongside design. And so thinking about the merchants and the designers coming up with the concept for an assortment, and then once it's all ready to go, ready to be passed to production is when it gets to production. So that's when we kind of work through how to actually develop the product alongside our sourcing partners. So production and sourcing are deep experts in our production, like I just mentioned, and supplier relationships. So starting out with production, they're really the team that oversees developing, sourcing, and executing all of our private and exclusive label brands. So think about the brands that are specifically at Kohl's. Lauren Conrad, Apartment 9, Sonoma. So like I said, they really are owning that concept to customer process all the way through from that first idea to a full garment sample that hits the floor. You work with a lot of cross-functional teams in production. This could be merchandising, design, technical design. They're the ones who kind of make sure that our specs are right. They're matching the mannequins. They're matching the tech packs online. Also marketing. So you work with marketing sometimes to partner to create our hang tags or our woven end folds. Think about the end fold that's on the back of your jeans. Something we call a joker. So that thing you typically pull off when you just buy a new pair of jeans that has the size and the wash and the rise. Production partners a lot with that to make sure we are on brand there. So I will say this role, it's really hands-on. You're working with that product. You have to have really great collaboration skills and communication skills to make sure you're getting the right point across to your vendor partners. And then for sourcing, so our sourcing teams really support the execution of our global sourcing strategy at Kohl's. You're doing things like researching and analyzing information that impacts our supply chain. You're really heavy focused on our cost, just making sure we're getting the best costing quality for the products we sell at Kohl's. So overall, production and sourcing work really, really collaboratively. That's why we kind of have them on the same slide. We call it GSPS. Global Supply Chain Product Services, something like that. So they have really strong partnerships and communication across the board. So I will go ahead and pass it to Rachel to talk about art and design.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Rachel Burzin, and I am one of the newer members of the early talent team. I've been with Kohl's for roughly 4 months now, and I was brought on specifically to recruit for our art, design, and marketing areas. So getting into the art and design, piece of everything. So here at Kohl's, art and design is unique because, as mentioned previously, we do have multiple private label brands. So all of these brands are created in-house, which means that our art and design teams, they really play an integral role in creating what these clothes and home items will feel and look like. So each private label brand is very unique in the sense that they all have their own aesthetic and target customer that they're creating, their art and design work for. So for example, our Flex athletic wear is going to be and look very different than, let's say, like our Jumping Beans kids clothing brand. So our teams are kind of broken up in that same way. We have artists and designers that work specifically with kids, with home, men's, and so on. So getting into art specifically, our artists are very creative in the sense that they're responsible for creating patterns and artwork for these private label brands. So a really big, part of their job is just drawing. They're the ones that are creating prints, patterns, different graphics, and really conceptualizing and creating these from scratch. And these are all, the patterns and whatnot that will actually go on the clothing that's, basically made by these private label brands. So they're working, in different systems like Adobe Illustrator, Procreate, even Photoshop to create these and really bring them to life. So it is a very creative position in the sense that they have a lot of freedom to kind of work within whatever that brand's aesthetic is. And kind of tying that into design, as mentioned in a lot of the other areas, there's a lot of collaboration, in both of these. The design team is working really closely with arts, as well as the merchants, production, and trends teams to really decide, what's in style, what kind of clothes do we want to make. They're working really closely to research, different stitching, materials, different fits and shapes, and what they want the clothing and home items to specifically look like. So research is huge in both of these. And then the designers are really the ones that are, sketching this out. It's very detail oriented, and they're creating the actual, clothing and that final product to be sent over so that the product's actually made. So these are really cool because, the teams can actually walk into a Kohl's store and, see their drawings and graphics that they've created on these pieces of clothing and home items. They even see people, wearing their stuff out in public, which is really cool. So both are very creative, and we do have art intern and design intern opportunities available for you all.
All right, I will go ahead and go over our store management opportunities. So in our store management opportunities, you really learn how to have those courageous conversations, navigating peer-to-peer relationships, and really the bread and butter is our stores and how to lead and inspire teams, which we do best here at Kohl's. So we have two opportunities, an internship and then our full-time training program. For our internship, just a quick overview, it is just allowing you to kind of preview what a life looks like in retail management. So some of the highlight pieces here of our internship in our stores is it is 8 weeks and paid. It is available nationwide. So Trav, that map that they shared with you and how there's a Kohl's store like in your backyard, there's probably one very close to you. So that's a perk, is that it can be done wherever there is a Kohl's location near you. And then what's great about the internship is it really gives you exposure to what makes a Kohl's store function. So it's going to include merchandising, management, sales, operations, HR, and again, how we lead and inspire others. This is you, as in qualifying for our internship. If you graduate between fall 23 and spring 24, you feel like you were born to lead. You love just working and helping people. You hate sitting behind a desk. And then full-time availability during the summertime from Sunday to Saturday. And then for our MIT store management trainee program, this is really those that are professionally resilient individuals where change is constant. So a very common saying in the stores is no day is the same, and that is the truth. So some of the highlights here for the MIT program, it is a 12-week paid training program where you are really embracing a hands-on approach. So similar to the internship, same exposure to all of those pieces that make the store run. Just kind of a little bit more deeper in terms of just what you're doing on a daily basis with the teams. As successfully completing the MIT program, it leads to full-time placement as an exec, as an assistant store manager in one of our stores. So qualifications for this is graduating fall 22 to spring 23, pursuing a career in retail management, and then really able to adapt without missing a beat and interested in exponential career growth. So both opportunities, we do still have them available across the entire US. So if you're interested, do not hesitate to reach out to us. And then I'm going to pass it back over to Trav.
Awesome. Thank you. So just to round us out, and then we're going to open it up for some Q&A, really encourage all of you to connect with us. We do a lot as it relates to communicating with prospective candidates, with our candidates, with universities through some of our social channels. So on Instagram, we are out there at Kohl's campus. Feel free to follow us. We just got back from a really cool event in New York where we posted all about it. So it's always fun to follow us and see the events that we do, the branding that we have, and the engagement that we have with all our students. We also do a lot on LinkedIn, as you can imagine, and we are out there, and you can follow us there at Kohl's Internships. And then if you ever want to know anything directly about our programs, you can go to kohlsoncampus.com. A lot of information there about what we covered today. And then some. So by all means, really encourage all of you to follow us there if you want to continue to follow along with everything that we're doing. And then with that, I'm going to open it up to Q&A, and I'll look at the chat, see what questions are there, and I'll definitely invite my team in to answer some of those as well. I can start with the first question. It looks like Nick, you popped in. You asked the question, as the internship is cross-functional, is a training program showing and teaching the intern about each department from logistics to development and marketing, or is it more specified for the intern's position? All right, I'm going to ask someone on my team to take that, and the lucky person is going to be Becca.
Yeah, great question. So yes, I would say this does depend on your specific department. So like I mentioned earlier, this is a curriculum-based program, and specifically speaking for like corporate right now, where let's say you are a production intern, you are going to be in courses, they're not graded, things like that, more presentations, classes of current associates, teaching you about the specific department you're in. So this could be how to navigate the systems or processes you use day to day. This could be how to work with your cross-functional partners. So I will say it depends on department. However, we do have a lot of outside presentations like networking events or project-based work where you may get to work alongside other interns who are in different areas to learn about their positions as well. So hopefully that answers your question.
Awesome. I'm going to move on to another question. Rachel, this one is for you specifically. Is there an internship related to trend analysis, or is that part of the design internship?
Yes, great question. So we do have a trend internship opportunity available, and that really does kind of just dive deeper into that research that's then given to, the design and art teams to use. So we should have that posted with Way Up, I believe, but would highly encourage you to apply for that if you're interested. Awesome.
Thank you. So, well, this question is for Becca, but also there are, not all of us mentioned this. But the question for you, Becca, is what's the greatest challenge you face as an intern and how did you overcome it? But also, I think some of us failed to mention, I also was an intern at one point. Gray also was an intern at one point. Kimmy, you too, right? Yeah, exactly. So 4 of the 5 of us on this call actually started as interns, but you know what, Becca, it's your question to answer.
I love it. Thank you, Tom, for putting me on the spot. So I think I have 2 ways to answer this question. One, just starting in a corporate environment. So you are coming straight out of college, where, you are alongside your peers, your schedule, but you are put into a corporate summer internship where everything is new. So you're navigating the waters of, how to network with other current associates, or maybe this is the first time you're speaking to somebody who's an executive leader who's been there for several years and knows how to network and do all of these things that maybe you feel like you're not ready for. But trust me, everything that you would like to learn, hopefully we'll be able to teach you. And then I think another thing is more specific to my area. So I was a production intern. I interned on our juniors brand, so Junior So specifically. And I was on this category called Celebrate Together, where again, we work with a lot of different vendor partners. And basically one of the vendors was saying how it was going to be too expensive to put on a specific sticker about faux fur. But for Kohl's, we really make sure to follow everything that we need to do in terms of vendor relations and what's ethical. And it was my responsibility to share that with my manager, let him know we were having some troubles with the vendor. And it felt really, really great to overcome that challenge. So that's a specific one for my area, and then one as an intern, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. He continues to write, they want to hear answers from other former interns too. So
okay.
Kimmy, you're next.
Yeah. So my internship was in the stores. I would say a challenge. I mean, there's a lot. I don't know. It feels like forever ago. I think for me, it was starting my career. Like for me personally, this was my first big girl job. So like turning that flip of, okay, you are now being looked at as a leader in your store with many other associates that have maybe been with Kohl's or in that store since day one, since it's open. So being confident with those relationships, finding even your leadership styles, how you communicate with people. I think sometimes there's always a gap in terms of professionalism sometimes. So I don't know. I think that people to people piece was one thing where it was trying to make that switch of college student starting my professional career and like mending those together. And I don't know, I like to bring in what I learned from school into the job itself. So finding ways of like collaborating and bringing all of that together, I think was for me in the stores.
Awesome. Thank you, Kimmy. There are a lot of questions, so I'm going to keep moving on. I know Gray and I also have great stories to tell, but we're going to keep going. So I'm going to have Kimmy answer this for the stores and then Rachel for corporate. I think it's the same, but definitely want to hear from both of you. When do applications officially close for the internship this summer?
Yep. For stores, we're going to be wrapped up probably end of May, or I'm sorry, early May for our store management side of things. And then the full-time training program is kind of a rolling basis. So we hire year round for that opportunity. Just depends on students when they're graduating, already graduated. That one's kind of a rolling basis. But internship, end of April, early May for stores.
Yeah, and so for corporate as well, our internship does begin June 5th this summer. So we'll likely be wrapping up recruiting like end of April, but would encourage you to apply and just get that in as soon as possible. And then our recruiting for next year already starts like end of August. So it is kind of rolling in a sense, but we will be wrapping up in the spring for recruiting for the summer.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to answer this next one. There's just 2 or 3 more that I'm going to answer real quickly in a row. Where in the buying process does the data science team come in? I think that's a phenomenal question. So our data science team actually lives and is embedded in our IT department. What they do is they work really closely with our IT product teams who work with the merchandising teams to better understand their process and their technologies and understand where can things be automated, where can we use smart decision making from a technology standpoint to help do some of that work for us versus having, you know, our associates do that. So they are ingrained as it relates to the IT side of things, and they really pay close attention to what that day-to-day operations is and find where those efficiencies in terms of analysis and decision making can be made. And then in addition to that, the next question was, are there any UX or UI roles in the design department? So there's a couple of different areas when we think about Kohl's where there is design involved. So Rachel was talking, when she was talking about design, she's talking more about apparel and textile design. But then we do have other parts of the business. So we do have product design. Product design sits within the IT department. And we do have full-time roles available there. We do not have any intern roles available on that side. And then we do have some like user interface and UX research roles within our digital side of our teams, and that falls under merchandising. So we have a whole plethora of different types of design roles. Specifically, what the traditional UX UI is, that is a role that is either in our digital or IT area. Okay, this is a good question for all of you. So what do you believe sets the Kohl's internship program apart from other management or retail internships?
I can jump in. I know that I haven't chatted about this yet. So, I mean, I think that there's a lot of things that sets our program apart, but I think one of the biggest things is kind of the holistic experience that you're getting. So when you come on as an intern at Kohl's, whether it's through the field or through corporate, you know, it's not just doing the job, you know. I mean, in the corporate space, we're going to also be planning some engaging events for you, maybe outside of the workday, local to Milwaukee, so you can explore the city and get to know your intern peers. If you're in the field or in corporate, there's going to be, you know, maybe it's our executive speaker series where you're getting to hear from our execs and understand, you know, advice that they'd have to you early in your career. So I think it's just kind of the way that you're getting treated like an associate because you are one, you know, and you aren't just getting a log, you know, of associate schedules. So I think that's one thing. I mean, the other we already chatted about this, but would definitely have to be the conversion opportunities. So I think it's pretty, you know, unique that we are wanting to offer you a full-time job when we bring you on as an intern at Kohl's. So that means we're going to invest in teaching you the role while you're here. We want you to really get a good understanding of, can I see myself in this position? So I think that it's a really good investment, you know, on both of our behalves for you to really get in and try and learn the role. So I don't know if anyone has anything else to add.
I feel like you did a great job answering that, Gray.
That was really good. All right, next question. One of the individuals mentioned that they're no longer in undergrad right now. They completed an internship, moved on from that role. Do we have any entry level positions that you could get into that don't require you to be enrolled in school? Specifically interested in IT and analyst positions? Yes, absolutely. So our program, typically we do gear a lot of our recruitment to campus recruiting, but that's not to say that we wouldn't hire individuals who are, you know, anywhere from, I would say, like 0 to 18 months outside of school, still looking to really figure out how they want to launch or start their career. And that's absolutely a possibility. You can always get in touch with us through one of those social links or the kohlsoncampus.com. You can also go on kohlscareers.com and you can always see what opportunities are available in IT at any given point in time. And you can always apply for those specific roles. And they do have plenty of entry-level roles as well on that site. Next question. So we have a student here who's a senior studying fashion merchandising in Kent State. They're graduating in May of 23, looking for a career in merchandising, but didn't get the opportunity to intern with Kohl's. Would we still offer jobs to people who didn't get an internship at Kohl's? I'm going to look to Gray or Becca for that one.
Yeah, I can start, and then Gray, feel free to jump in about maybe like merchandising opportunities if you're specifically looking for possibly buying. So if you didn't intern with us in the past, that does not set you apart to be able to work with us at an entry-level role. We definitely are still recruiting for that. We're looking for people who have entry-level positions who are ready to start after their senior year. So all of those roles will be upon graduation. I would say, I don't know if it's in the chat yet, but definitely look at our Kohl's Careers website to navigate what open roles we have available. If we have them open, they're going to be on that website. Also, feel free to connect with us as recruiters so we can make sure to get you to the right contact and go from there. But yes, don't worry if you haven't interned with us in the past.
Here's another question about the internship. How was the leadership and guidance as an intern, and how would you handle your mistakes if you made one?
So during your internship, the way that we are going to kind of help guide you throughout your development and make sure you're tracking in the right direction, you're going to be paired with a coach or a trainer. We use both terms. That is going to be an entry level associate in that part of the business, and or just the associate of the job that you're basically working to get. So they are going to be with you step by step throughout your internship to make sure that you're tracking in the right direction, you're understanding the systems, and honestly, by the end of the internship, hopefully you're really helping them do their job and taking some work off their plate. So that's kind of your more peer mentorship, I would say. But then you also will have a manager. Your manager will likely be that person's manager in most instances, I would say. And you would meet with your manager, maybe once a week or so, and they're going to have some formal checkpoints with you, touch points throughout the summer, and let you know how you're doing. So we really encourage our intern managers to give formal feedback so that you as an intern have a good idea of what you could work on and what you're doing well at so that you can continue to improve throughout your internship.
I can jump on the second part of that question of like how you handle mistakes if you made one. I think that's the really beautiful thing of internships and entry level roles through early talent is you are just testing the waters, you're understanding and really starting to preview your life in those career paths. I will say I've heard this from many different leaders, like we are thankfully not doing a job where it is like a life or death situation. So any mistakes you make are very forgivable. There's always going to be a workaround or way to fix them. So that's always stuck with me that I've made some big boo-boos for sure, but they've always been able to be fixed and the manager is always very understanding. And you take it as just an opportunity to learn from whatever mistakes and challenges that you've gone through and hopefully not make them again.
Awesome. There's a couple questions in here about IT internships. So I just want to make sure I cover off on that. I know we didn't necessarily talk about them here today. So we do hire about 50 IT interns every single summer, and we have internships within the IT space across product management, possibly product design, information security, software engineering, platform engineering, I'm forgetting data science as well. So we do have a number of different ones. We have such a competitive program, which is amazing. We've actually filled all of our roles for the summer. So I know there's a few of you asking about business intelligence roles. I know specifically, Sharon, you mentioned data and cybersecurity roles. We do absolutely have internships in those areas. We're just completely full, but that's not to say we're not going to open up more positions. So if it is something you're interested in, by all means, we'd still love for you to express interest. We'd still love your information to be in touch, because we may open up more roles throughout the remainder of the spring and hire a few more interns into any of those spaces. So it's always possible. So by all means, feel free. Sounds like you're doing really well in school, so we'd be excited to have you in our pipeline. Next question. I'm going to give this one to Rachel. Rachel, how would you say your work-life balance is working for Kohl's?
Yeah, I honestly think it's been amazing so far. I always feel supported by my team if there is any flexibility needed on my end. So yeah, I mean, it only has been a couple of months, but Kohl's here definitely encourages wellness and taking care of yourself first. So I have nothing but positive things to say about that.
Anybody else comment on work-life balance either now or when you were an intern?
I can speak to my internship, and then so yeah, I think there's a really great balance. I feel like your teams understand and are well equipped to understand how the internship works and functions. So your manager is not going to I don't think any manager is going to overload you with work by any means, because you're learning. So just know that you are there to set up to do real work, but you're not going to be overwhelmed by any means. And I feel like our managers and teams and other associates you're going to be working alongside, they tell me from day one, or told me from day one, let me know if you're feeling overwhelmed, or let me know if you have questions. So there's definitely going to be a balance there. And then I wanted to say too, this may differ from what stage of life you're in. So I know Kimmy and Rachel alluded to benefits at Kohl's, but let's say you're a new mom. There may be things that apply, and Kimmy can probably speak to this a little bit more as a new mom, but there may be things that can apply to different stages of your life through our benefits program and just through work-life balance at Kohl's.
All right, I know we're coming up on time. There's just a couple more questions here. So there is a question about, are there any 2023 post-grad rotational programs, or do you treat your internships as the same program? So I can absolutely take that one. So we have both internship program, like our internship program is for individuals who right now probably have a targeted graduation date of December of 23 or May of 24. And so interns go through that 8 or 10 week program, depending on the area. And the idea, like we mentioned earlier, is to hopefully convert into a full-time role and come back post-graduation. Now, we also hire a lot of individuals into full-time roles in full-time programs. And we do have a couple of those programs. So they're not necessarily rotational in nature, but they are like development, and you do have like a training program that exists with that. So I know we've mentioned a lot of what we consider our merchandising areas. So art, design, and when I say design, I mean textile design, and then inventory analysis, assistant merchandising, and then production and sourcing. Those areas all do have full-time programs that we do hire individuals into. As of right now, the applications are still open. We know we're really close to filling a lot of those roles here, where we have individuals start in either June, July, August, or September, depending on the area. And with those, there is a really robust onboarding and training program where you really get to know the role, similarly to what you would learn as an internship, but just a little bit more, because now you are a full-time associate. So while they're not rotational, where you don't get to rotate across different departments, there is still those full-time programs that do exist in some of our areas. And then the other area that we do have full-time programs is within our stores. And again, those are not rotational, but there is a 12-week training program before you get placed as a full-time assistant store manager. So we do have full-time opportunities, full-time programs across corporate as well as stores, where there is a training program associated with that before you get fully invested into your role.
Travis, there's one in the chat, actually not in the Q&A, that kind of walks through somebody who's an undergraduate sophomore looking for opportunities. So I can take that one. So yes, we do have a program. It's going to be in the spring. More information to come in terms of where to apply, but we're hoping that applications can open up in the beginning of April. So what we're going to be doing is in this upcoming spring, so May, we're going to have about a 4-day program where you can learn on day 1 about Kohl's professional development, our diversity, equity, and inclusion strategies, sustainability, some of the things you heard here today, but a little bit more expanded. Hear from possibly some BRG reps, things of that nature. And then there's going to be a case study. So for our sophomores, there's going to be a case study, whether it's like a white space opportunity for Kohl's, where you're going to be split up with other random sophomores throughout the nation who were accepted to the program. And then at the end, you'll be able to actually present it to our executive leadership. So it's a really great opportunity, and really the main goal is for you to get an interview for the internship that following summer when you are a junior. So feel free to let us know if you have questions about that, but we absolutely have opportunities for underclassmen students.
Thank you, Becca. All right. I know we're right at time here. Sorry if we didn't get to your question. I apologize. Definitely recommend, if you do have anything else that you have questions about following this, definitely, if you wouldn't mind, Becca, going back to the slide where you can see our social handles and where you can follow us and where you could reach out to us, whether it's on LinkedIn or if it's on Instagram. You can also go to kohlsoncampus.com. You can also email us at earlytalent@kohls.com as another opportunity. So if you didn't get your question answered, if you do have questions about opportunities, full-time intern in the stores at our corporate office, please, by all means, don't hesitate to reach out to us, and we'll do our best to get back to you. Thank you all.